Hello, and welcome to 8pixel Radio. Today we have Kate. Kate, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, hello. I'm Kate Kassab. I'm a digital designer here out of San Diego, focusing on a few different things, primarily web design in 3D, and really just expressing myself any way I can through digital means.
That is very abstract and also very descript. I like that. I've seen some of your 3D work and it's awesome. And also very impressed that you managed to sort of juggle that with your traditional job and all the side projects you've got going on. It seems like you're doing lots of things at the same time. Very impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, kind of, UI UX designer by day, and I just live in Blender by night.
You know what? I haven't gone there yet. I know I should, but sometime in the future, I would make that dive, and I'm sure it'll be an experience. Everyone seems to be talking about amazing things about it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. We're seeing a huge pivot back towards 3D, and I couldn't be more excited about it.
Absolutely. All right, should we jump into the questions?
Let's do it.
Okay. Question number one: what one song or album can you listen to on repeat?
Okay. I'm gonna go album, and I'll say, the album "Unimagined" by Hands Like Houses. So this album has a big place in my heart because I listened to this album the first time way back when I was, in high school, and I was going through a very difficult time in my life. It's around the time that you have to kinda decide what you wanna do with your life, where you're gonna go. And I came from a background where I essentially grew up in, uh, I I don't know how to put into words, but I didn't have much money growing up, and
Okay.
so I then transferred to a high school that was primarily very wealthy, and everyone wanted to go to a university or college, and that wasn't really a choice for me, and so I clung to this idea of, I just knew I wanted to do something creative. I was always very artistic, and I loved to write, and so this album is all about expressing that creativity and finding that individuality, and so when I heard this album for the first time, it really just confirmed all the feelings that I had been having. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not going to change myself for anyone, or I'm not going to go to a college where I know that I'll be miserable just because my parents think I should or my counselor think I should. Like, I want to do what's true to me and what I find joy in. And so that album really pushed that meaning through and validated that. And there's a line, um, if I could only show your future, you'd light up like the sun. And it's kind of cheesy, but like to 15-year-old Kate, I'm like,
Yeah.
man, one day in my future, and I look back and I feel like I'm getting there. So every time I listen to that album, I'm like, just imagine little Kate like would be so proud.
That is so heartwarming, that story. You must be really proud of how where you've come.
I I am. I don't talk about it often, but I am proud of myself.
You really should be. That's really nice. And thank you for honesty as well. You didn't have to tell us that story, but I really appreciate that. Um, I I don't have a similar story, but I remember being 14, 15, and somebody introducing me to Radiohead and having the exact same. I don't even know how to describe the response. It was kind of like, this is what I've been waiting for in music. And it took me. And now I'm their biggest fan. I buy their art. I do everything I can to support them. And it seems like that album kind of grabbed you in a very similar way.
Absolutely. And isn't it like the best feeling to support artists and musicians that you have just like undying support and love for? I think that's one of the best feelings.
Yeah. And are you still a big fan of them?
Yeah, I have 2 posters of theirs on my wall right
Amazing.
over there.
That's really cool. I actually haven't heard of them or the album and I feel ashamed.
No, no, you shouldn't. I mean, if you wanna listen to them after, go ahead and give them a
Yeah.
listen. They're really cool, like, Australian band. They have kind of like a rock or, uh, alternative sound to them, and I really like it.
Yeah, I bet I kind of hear them thinking about like when that time was, the kind of artists that were around at that moment. I can almost hear it, but definitely I'll go and check them out after this. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
All right, I have a random question for you. This was not on the list of questions to prepare for, so let's see
Oh, boy.
how you. This is not. It's not difficult. Don't worry.
Okay.
So you love coffee, right?
Yes.
What millennial designer doesn't? And my question for you is, what year was Starbucks founded?
Oh god. Um,
Or more specifically, when did they open their first store?
okay, let's see. When I think of Starbucks, maybe like 2004? I don't know.
Are you locking that in? Are you locking that one in?
Let's you know what? Let's just go for it. Let's say 2004.
Okay, I wish you were right, but you were so far so far
Oh,
away.
no.
um, so, bit of background. Starbucks was founded by three guys called Jerry Baldwin, Gordon Boker or Bowker, I'm not sure how they pronounce it, and an awesome name, Zev Siegel. And they opened their first store in 1971.
Oh, wow. What?
And
Where
it
did
was
they
in a
open this?
place called
Mm,
Pike Place Market in Seattle.
okay, Seattle, like, that makes sense. Wow, I was so far off.
But you gave it a good shot. Good college try there. Well done. Um, 2004, that they were probably $1 billion business by that point. I imagine that's when the other chains started to go everywhere, right? It kind of feels like, especially over here, that's when I started to see coffee chains everywhere. So maybe that's where you sort of anchored your idea.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
But
that's
good
funny.
try, good try. We got there in
Thank
the
you, thank you.
end. All right, let's go into that question. This one is definitely changing the tone, or maybe not. I don't know. What do you find yourself having to constantly convince people of?
Okay, so this one I'm very passionate about. So the whole trend of so when we think of productivity, I think there are a lot of people out there that will swear by the routine of waking up at 5 a.m. and doing like a billion things before 9 a.m. Like, I don't know how people have time to go for like a 5 mile run before 9 a.m. sometimes. But I mean, all the respect in the world. But when people say that that's the only way that you could be productive is to wake up early and do these things, I'm someone that believes that, I mean, if you're someone that wants to work from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. and that's when you feel most creative, you feel most awake, you feel like you could really have that output then. I'm such a firm believer in you do what's right for you. And so often, I'll text people around like 3 a.m. and they're like, "Kate, why are you awake? Are you okay? Do we need to talk?" And I'm like, "No, like I'm good. I'm feeling great. Like I'm getting stuff done." And so I'll if people are like, "Oh, well, you need to try to wake up earlier. And you need to, try to work like the typical like wake up at 7 a.m. and go to sleep at 9 p.m." I'll try to convince them, but like everyone is so different. Everyone's wired differently, and I'm sure there's science and stuff that backs up waking up earlier. And again, I respect that, but I feel like everyone's different.
Yeah, 100%. I can't imagine getting up at that time in the morning and feeling like I want to stay awake for the rest of the day. It just feels, yeah, there's that sort of hustle culture, I suppose, that is do this, and you'll make $1 million, which is obviously not true. What have you found is your rhythm? Is it like staying up until 3 a.m.? Is that actually how you work?
On the weekends, yeah, I don't have the luxury of doing that weekdays because I have to, be online for work at about 8:30 or 9. But I find that I'm, like, most in my groove between those hours of
Okay.
9 PM and 3 AM, yeah.
How long have you always been like that, or is it kind of something you eventually got to? Because you mentioned that people have uh, surround us all saying work to this schedule and you'll be successful. Is it something you tried before and then realized that that's just not going to happen?
So I did try it about 6 months ago, and I got through about 2 weeks, and don't get me wrong, like, I felt pretty good for these 2 weeks, but I also felt that, like, sometimes you can't, like, sit yourself down and try to force yourself to be creative when you're just, like, you're not quite there yet. Of course, there's, like, situations where, like, you should push yourself and you can't be creative all the time, but
Mm.
I find that when I was trying to go to bed at 9 PM instead of, sitting down at my computer with, a cup of tea, like, ready to get some cool work done, I was just like I feel like I was missing out. I'm like, "I have all these ideas right now," and I feel
Yeah,
like there's so much more I could be doing. So I did try it. I don't know if I would try it again. It just wasn't right for me, but maybe I'll change in
maybe
the coming
soon.
years.
Maybe soon. I sometimes struggle to get to sleep because my head is still alive, but I'm in this schedule that is prescribed rather than like a choice. And I can totally see where that fits. Do you work from an office normally?
Um, kind of. I have a home office which you see here.
Yeah.
So yes, kind of. Not
Sorry, I
like
mean,
a
the company that you work for, is it normally office based or are you always remote?
oh, so, the company I work for now, Webstacks, I was hired on during the pandemic,
Okay.
and so I was in office for about a week to get onboarded, but since then, they've been awesome at, allowing everyone to work remotely until someone's completely comfortable to go back in office, or, if you wanna stay remote, they've been amazing at
Hmm.
extending that option as well.
That's really great. And for somebody that, let's say somebody starting in the industry, they're probably active in the same creative hours that you are, but they're being told to do this thing of wake up at 6, go to bed at 10, and then you'll be successful. What advice would you give to this person to kind of carve their own way, maybe in the workplace or with their peers to get around this?
I would say try it, and then I would say if it doesn't work for you, don't let other people influence what you think is best for you. Like, if you're also one of those people where you're most on in the hours of the night, like, embrace it, embrace who you are, and just have a good time doing it.
I think that's just a good lesson for everything, really, isn't it? Embrace who you are and run with it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
totally.
Cool. Excellent answer. Thank you. The next question is, what's the best thing you've never worked on?
Ooh, okay, so I've always really, really wanted to work on video games.
Oh,
Video games have always been my escape, my inspiration, really the reason why I got into design in the first place. And so the best thing I never got to work on, um, probably narrative design, which is designing the story in which like a video game progresses. So,
mm,
the reason to keep playing a game, essentially, the story. I think I always thought that would have been so much fun because I feel
yeah.
like I'm a storyteller at heart, and it's also very close to my heart. So, I'll end that with the coolest thing I've never gotten to do yet, because maybe one
Yeah.
day.
Very nice. What um, what game would it be that that you think that's the one that I wish I did?
Ooh, probably Final Fantasy VII.
I had a feeling it was going to be Final Fantasy. I had a
It's
feeling.
always Final Fantasy. That would have been really, really cool to work on because it was such a progressive game for its time. I mean, it
Mm.
was released in 1997, and that train scene with Cloud and Barrett, and like that was revolutionary for its time. So to have been able to work on such a classic game that would push everything forward would have been legendary.
Yeah. And do you think it would be when you ultimately do go down this route, things like that, or would you do different types of games? I'm not much of a gamer, so feel free to flex on this as much as you need to.
I feel like if I could ever work on anything under like the Square Enix umbrella, which are the publishers for like Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, games like that, that would be really, really, really cool.
Well, I can't wait to see it. A few years' time, you'll be publishing your own game as the lead narrative designer. Do you think that
Oh
your
man.
skills are naturally lending towards a career like that?
I do think I've branched a little bit away from narrative designer because probably like a decade ago, I really wanted to be like a fiction author. And I feel like those
Okay.
storytelling skills would have lended a little bit better to narrative design. But now, as I get more and more involved with 3D and modeling and character design to a certain degree, I feel like it may branch off into something different. I don't know where that would fall in video games, but I guess I'll figure it out as I hopefully get there.
Absolutely. Do you read comic books?
I don't read comic books. Do you read comic books?
No, I don't. I was just wondering whether there was a middle bit between your sort of writing skills, your design skills, as a short step to go in there. But that, if you don't read comic books, then it's probably not worth your time investing in that. All right.
Hmm.
Now we have a word from our sponsors. Today's podcast is proudly brought to you by job titles, because who really knows what we do? Have you ever actually tried to search for a job on a job board for something you think you do? Let's just add design to any adjective we want and hope it makes sense. My favorite is the rectangle mover. And now back to our schedule programming. And the fourth question: what would your last meal be?
Oh man. Okay. I think I would say a grilled cheese, but not just
Yeah.
like any grilled cheese. It would be a grilled cheese with avocado. There's gotta be, like, 4 different types of cheese, and it would have to be it would have to be accompanied by a piping hot bowl of tomato soup with, like, some basil on there so I could, like, dip the sandwich in the soup. Um, but I would want it to be, like, a course meal. So this would be, like, I suppose, the entree, and then for
Okay.
the dessert, I would want a single strawberry Pop-Tart
Oh,
and a yerba mate. Cause like, if I'm about to die, like, I want that high energy as I go.
I haven't thought of Pop Tarts in about 15 years. That just threw me back then. That was really, really good. Just a single one, though. You only want one.
Just one. I'm good.
Okay. And for this grilled cheese, are we thinking what type of bread we've got here?
Oh, man, maybe, like, some good, like, thick sourdough bread,
Hmm.
cause that would be, like then when you dip it in the tomato sauce, it would, like, be really good at soaking it up and just,
Yes.
like, be a really good bite.
Yes. And the cheeses?
For sure, pepper jack. I
Okay.
could eat, like, a block of pepper jack cheese alone, like, with nothing, just the cheese. So, pepper jack cheese, maybe, like, some good, like, just cheddar cheese, Swiss cheese, all the cheese.
All of it. Just jam it in that sandwich. Um, that's nice. I like that. Tomato soup. We're keeping it simple. Is going to be no chili in there or anything? We're going to jazz it up a little bit.
I so I really like spicy food. I
Mhm.
don't know if spicy tomato soup is the thing. I've never tried it. I don't even know if it would be good, but maybe I want some bite in there for sure.
Yeah, I would always put a few drops of Tabasco in my tomato soup just to zing it up a little bit. That was really nice. Anything else going in this meal? Last orders? Any extra sides or anything?
Um, no,
Okay,
maybe like a few like fries on the side. That could be
nice.
kind of good.
And in the sandwich, is it just the cheese and the bread? Is that what we're doing here?
Cheese, bread, and avocado.
Oh, sorry, and avocado as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm Californian, so it would be like a crime to not put avocado on the sandwich.
absolutely. And speaking of crimes, did you think about what your crime would have been for this last meal?
It's probably something avocado related. No.
Great avocado thief. Is that what you are?
I suppose now I am in
You
this
are an
scenario.
avocado.
Maybe I'm an
Yeah.
avocado thief.
The for your crimes against avocado, trying to jam it into a grilled cheese sandwich, I'm sure avocado growers would be like, "No, sacred."
Secret. So true. So true.
Yeah. All right. And the last question, most important question: what is your favorite curse word?
There's so many. And just to clarify, like I'm good to say it on.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I think I'm gonna go with the cuss word fuck because
Okay.
it's one of those ones that just come off the tongue so nice and it feels good to say. Like it just genuinely like it's satisfying to say, but I would it's gonna sound weird, but like I would I would sing it. Like stay with me. So the other day,
I'm here.
I stubbed my toe and instead of just being like, oh fuck, I'm like, why the fuck did I stub my toe on this chair? What the fuck? And so like I feel like it's even more
Perfect.
it's more satisfying when you sing it and like give it its own little song.
Yeah.
Like it's added
Yeah.
satisfaction right there.
It lends itself to musical. This is maybe this is your career path. Just going into musicals. I think I'm sold for sure, and particularly when you can jam a swear word in there. Very good. Very
Look
good.
out for my new hit single, "Fuck, I Stubbed My Toe,"
Yeah.
coming to you April
Yeah.
2021.
Produced by Kanye, obviously. That's
Oh
that's
my gosh,
that's a
yes.
given. That's a given. Do you find yourself swearing a lot when you work?
Probably too often. I have to remind myself to tone it down. I've been trying to cuss less, but it's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress. It's on the to do, or in progress, maybe on the Kanban board. Excellent curse word. I totally agree. It is a fantastic word, and I think it's actually most people's favorite, just because it's there. It's accessible, always ready for you to go.
Or like when you will say multiple consecutively, so instead of just like, "Oh, fuck," be like, "Oh, fuck, shit." Like just line them up.
Yeah, yeah, and it
Get
keeps
it all
coming.
out.
And it just keeps coming. It's just like bang, 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 got you. Right. Those are the questions. Thank you so much. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you. This is like the most fun podcast like I've ever been on. This was awesome.
Thank you. You opened it up with an amazing, heartwarming story, and you finished it off with some singing. What a perfectly rounded episode we just have. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Louis.